Good morning, I'm J. Lenora Bressler, and welcome to the August 1st, 2019 edition of the Bible, Delight in the Details. There are many famous stories in the Bible, stories that we know by heart, but one that is absolutely fascinating, but is relatively unknown in that I've rarely ever, if ever, heard a Sunday school lesson or a sermon on this, and that is the story of the Old Testament king of Judah named Manasseh. You'll find his story in 2 Kings chapter 21 and 2 Chronicles chapter 33. His father, Manasseh's father, was King Hezekiah of Judah. And he was a very good king for most of his life. But toward his middle age and end of his life, he got very cocky. And he forgot that all of his riches and power was through the Lord. And he apparently really wanted status among his fellow world leaders. And so he even displayed his wealth stupidly in front of the superpower of that day, which was the Babylonians. Well, that, of course, only whet their appetite. Hezekiah was warned by God's prophets that he was going down a very, very bad road, and that there was going to be judgment. The judgment would fall upon the nation. And he didn't seem to be terribly upset by that, as long as it wasn't going to affect him, as long as the judgment was going to come after his lifetime. So Hezekiah's interesting because, yes, he did a lot of good, and yes, he always still believed in God, but he allowed a half-heartedness to creep in, particularly at the end. Well, he had a son who became king at age 12, and actually ruled longer than any other king, an amazing 55-year reign. Manasseh was evil. The Old Testament uses the word evil multiple times with him, that he did great evil, even more evil, and that he led the people into great idolatry. This is a man obsessed with the occult. It appears that he was even involving himself with drugs, that he was absolutely obsessed with astrology, and that he was allowing that to influence the way he was running the kingdom. He set back up the altars for the pagan gods that his father had destroyed, even to the point of putting statues of foreign pagan gods into the temple itself in Jerusalem. This man was so evil that he had many prophets and priests of God killed. He was trying to force priests to basically tell fortunes in the temple, and if they refused, he killed them. Everyone is familiar with the great prophet Isaiah. Isaiah, to whom God had given such insights into the future Messiah, what the whole redemption story. We get so much of the prophecies about Jesus from Isaiah. Manasseh killed Isaiah. We do not get this from the Bible, but from extra biblical text, including the great Jewish historian Josephus records that Manasseh had Isaiah killed in a particularly horrible way. According to Josephus, a log was hollowed out, and Isaiah was placed in the log, and then the log was cut in half. Now, that's horrible enough, but I'm going to tell you the real kicker. The kicker is that Isaiah's daughter was the mother of Manasseh. That's right. He killed his own grandfather. This was just a bad dude. I mean, pure evil. Excuse me. Now, he got what he deserved, because the Babylonians came in and literally put a yoke on him, put pierced his nose and other parts of his face, and literally led him around into Babylon by like a leash. So this proud, arrogant occultist is now being reduced to looking like an animal. But we are told in the Bible that at the bottom of this pit that he had dug for himself, he remembered the God of his fathers, and he prayed. And God heard a very repentant sinner and helped him and forgave him and allowed him to come back and rule again in Judah. And he was a changed man. He pulled down all the pagan shrines. He ordered that the true God be worshipped again. And so this is a fascinating story of a truly prodigal son, someone who actually killed his own grandfather, a prophet, the greatest prophet, one of the greatest prophets, if not the, prior to John the Baptist. And yet even he was not beyond reaching. However, it is interesting that we are told in the Bible that despite his now great enthusiasm for the Lord and his desire that the people change their ways, the ways in which he had led them, they came back very half-heartedly. And we are told that they set up places to worship God, not in Jerusalem where God had required them to go, but elsewhere because it was more convenient. And then Manasseh's son did away with all of the good things that his father had tried to do at the end when he had come to his senses. It is a saga of unbelievable consequences, of just deserts, of repentance, and yet of the consequences that even after you've repented, sometimes the influence that you have had is terribly long-lasting. There are so many lessons within the life of Manasseh that we should take. Lessons of hope and encouragement, but also lessons of warning. We should study Manasseh. I'm J. Lenora Bressler. Visit me on the next edition of the Bible. Delight in the details. Have a great day.